everybody, and welcome. Good to see you all. Feels like it's been a while since I've gotten to connect with all of you. We're welcoming in little Felix noises tonight. So, yeah, just allowing for that, welcoming that. And last time we got together, we talked about the fourth foundation of mindfulness, the mindfulness of Dhamma. What is Dhamma? And hopefully that just made perfect sense. That was so crystal clear. You understood reality as it is. No questions, right? And I thought it might be nice to pair that talk with what's called the triple gem in Buddhism. And the triple gem represents the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. One of the, when it's chanted, if you ever look in the chanting books, and sort of ritual, I guess you could say, that is often done in the monastic tradition is very regularly what they call taking refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And when we're thinking about this, I'm a nerd for lists. So whenever I see a 3 of something, a 5 of something, like why is this a list? And I think it's important to look at it from that way when we're talking about the triple gem, because we have the Eightfold Path, right? The Eightfold Path says this is the path if you want to end suffering, and so then what is the triple gem? Like, what is the point of there being this specific gathering of things? And so one of the things that we're aiming to do with Buddhism is to let go of a lot of worldly fixation, right? We come to understand on some level, and maybe not immediately, but through practice, that things in the world are naturally going to be unsatisfactory. And so we take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. It's saying that there's not going to be safety necessarily in the world. We're not going to be able to achieve lasting happiness. And so while you're on this path, this Eightfold Path, trying to do this thing where hopefully we're getting more free, take refuge. Take these things as maybe a focus point while you're learning, while you're developing. It's not necessarily about faith or meaning. I think that was one of the things that, for me, as I was reflecting on what is the triple gem, why the triple gem, it's not there to create meaning as much as it's supposed to give some level of reassurance that there is a place for us to rest. Because over and over and over again, as we find in this practice, as we lose loved ones, as we lose jobs, as we lose relationships, as things are in constant change and flux, these are things that we can depend on being reliable. One of the few things that we can depend on being reliable. And so we take refuge in the Dharma. The Dharma meaning the reality of the way things are. The teachings of the Buddha is another way that people interpret this. It's not meant to be a subjective point of theology. Looking at it more as, and I've talked of Buddhism as a theory often, and I would like to maybe retract that and say maybe more of it was a discovery, it was a science. It was the discovery of reality in a big way. And I know me saying that feels really grand and really intense. And the fortunate thing about Buddhism is like, you don't have to believe it, but try it on. And by trying it on, see if that doesn't create less suffering in your life. And so we take refuge in this science, in this reality of like understanding the way things as they are, without our views, without our perceptions, just nature. That I think that if you've ever read philosophy or something like that, when they talk about, when certain philosophers talk about nature, this is similar. We can kind of equate those two. We take refuge in the Sangha. The Sangha means community of people, and as much as this path is a call for us to do our own individual work, right? I can't meditate for somebody else. I can't, psychic friends network my brain into somebody else's brain so that way they don't suffer. We still rely on Sangha as part of this practice, and a support for really the longevity. I don't think as many things in nature, things don't necessarily thrive in isolation. And so having the community as a sense of nurturing this practice. And then finally taking refuge in the Buddha. And I know I've said this dozens of times, this isn't the historical figure, this person sitting here, this one. While, maybe for some people they find that inspiring and want to, I don't necessarily like cool image, but I don't know, it doesn't really do a lot for me. The Buddha is meant to be our own inner wisdom, our own ability to awaken that is, for most of us, covered by lots and lots of sediment and dirt from all of the suffering that we have taken on over the years. But it's everybody's potential to awaken and be free from suffering. So I'll dive into those a little bit more deeply later. But we'll break out into some discussions. We'll do some groups of 3. And I think for today, I don't have a question kind of sitting on my head or on my heart. So I would love if people just took the opportunity to get real with each other. This being Sangha, this is it. you found it. So just an opportunity to cultivate and share. I think that our personal stories have a lot of meaning, and when we share in that, I think it helps people. So what's going on with you this week? Any specific reflections on any skepticism? Do you think you have a Buddha? If you really want some direction. All right, so we'll check back in about 8 minutes. meditate. Finding a comfortable way to sit that is upright. Stacking each vertebrae one on top of the other. Imagining your spine like a string of pearls. Being pulled from end to end. Beginning the meditation by settling in, allowing all the muscles around the spine to relax and soften. Letting go of the tension from the day, from the week, months, years. And really arriving in the present moment by connecting with the breath, observing it through the rise and fall of the belly or the chest. Or some people find it best to start with the nose. And again, really allowing ourselves to arrive here with the breath. So often we're desiring space to relax, and this is our opportunity in meditation. No matter what the mind wants to think about, running off to the future or the past, that's okay. We just keep returning over and over. What if we place as much value sitting with the breath as we did earning money? As valuable as a precious gift. Continue opening the awareness to the sense doors. Seeing with the eyes closed, hearing, tasting, smelling, feeling. And using the second foundation, mindfulness of feeling. Pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. And quickly noticing how the mind labels maybe certain things we have to make a decision, whether we find it pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. But oftentimes the mind, so quickly, maybe with little input or questioning, inquiring about the nature of the feeling. Noticing how quickly an I arrives. I like that. I think this. And continuing to expand awareness to mindfulness of the mind itself. The awareness sitting firmly as the theatrics, the movie of the mind plays. And noticing the quality of the show that your mind is wanting to play. Is this a tired old rerun? A fancy new budget film? wrestling match. More than specific thoughts themselves, we want to observe the quality of the mind. Resentment or not resentment, constricted or not constricted. At ease, relaxed. Continuing to expand the awareness. Fourth foundation, mindfulness of the Dharma. Using what you've learned about Buddhist practice here to explore the nature of the mind, of our relationship to the outside world. Maybe using investigative quality to understand for yourself. What does it mean to take refuge in the Buddha? To take refuge in the Sangha? To take refuge in the Dharma? attempting to frame things in the form of a question. What does it mean to take refuge? Noticing if there's any doubt that arises. A strong desire for things to be a certain way. In this investigative practice, there's no need to go looking for answers. Rather, observing the mind's reactions, tendencies, through the lens of the Dharma. Important aspect of the fourth foundation of mindfulness and investigation wisdom often coming through seeing directly. That it differs from intellectual thinking and pondering. And so having some level of reassurance or confidence that in time the wisdom will come if we pay attention. The wisdom will come if we pay attention. Big thinky thoughts over there. So, taking refuge, the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. One of the pieces in taking refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, looking at it through the Eightfold Path, looking at it through the Four Noble Truths. Again, I've said this a lot, that often people come to Buddhist practice for relief, some kind of relief. that there's suffering happening in our lives, and we're looking for a way to relieve that. And this should be perhaps apparent enough that Buddhism, meditation, isn't particularly appealing or easy. Maybe appealing a little bit for some, but it's not easy. And especially in a culture where things are fast, fast food, McDonald's, Prime in my hand now, why do people continuously, after 2,600 years, come to this when there's a plethora of other things out there? And the only viable thing that I can truly come up with is because we figure out on some level that either things are that what is available to me instantaneously is not working. It's not working to relieve the stress and the suffering. And so if I don't personally have the answers, then maybe something out there does. And one of the things that Buddhism doesn't do, unlike many other religions or philosophies, is give you meaning. And I think that is a really important for me, it works as a buy-in, because it says yes, right? Like, if you do these things, you will relieve suffering, but it's not giving you the meaning to life. It's not giving you personal meaning here on this planet. And I find that to be a really interesting aspect of the practice. When we're talking about the Dharma being nature and this really high sort of call that it is reality, that it is completely reality, why not take it further? Why not take it further, right? If supposedly the Buddha discovered reality, the Dharma, then why then and you see this in the suttas over and over and over again, when asked the existential questions of, what about what happens? What happens after you die? What happens to an enlightened person when they die? Like, what is the meaning of all this? The Buddha continuously refuses to answer these questions. And because it's not the point. The point here is that you have this life. I surmise that he doesn't answer those questions because they're not questions that are going to be very practical in helping end suffering. That was his mission, very clear mission statement. There is an end to suffering. And, in a lot of, our theologies, we get promises, heavenly golden gates, all the things we ever desire once we die. Not such a great sell, Buddhism. Kind of just, but I think it helps keep us to the point. What is the point? That if we have this one life, why not try to make it the most at ease we can? Because we're here. Here we are. And we can flail. We can believe in something. We can believe for the greater thing eventually. Or, while he was vague about a lot of the existential questions, he was very thorough. Very fucking thorough. 48 volumes thorough of how to deal with suffering. So I don't think it's from a lack of, wanting to explain. It's keeping us to the point of what it is we're here to do. And ultimately, like, purpose, meaning, I think that can, people can derive that for themselves. I think naturally, perhaps just by taking on some of the practices of Buddhism, things like generosity, things like Sangha, that naturally happens for some. I honestly have personally wondered if the Buddha was perhaps maybe the first nihilist without saying as much. Because there's I think the longer that I have practiced, the less and less I assign importance to there having to be some grand meaning. Because I feel like every time I've placed meaning in something, it changes. It inevitably changes. The things that like the Buddha was talking about. When I was younger, it was, I want the relationship and the kid and the house and the, get all the things. And then that fell apart. And then it was, I want to just be of service. And, I'm so of service. And I promise you, I can be fucking miserable in it. It's not making me happy 1,000% all of the time. Though, good. But it's not, that antidote, that meaning, that thing that we assign to things like meaning, that it's, once I realize it, just heaven, bliss, fuck yeah. And, so not that I don't think, Viktor Frankl, meaning making, it can't be useful, can't be important. Just the simple truth that, maybe in exploration of your own personal experience, having put so much meaning into something and then that changing, impermanence, that loss. So that's why the triple gem. It says, yo, this might be a little depressing for you. So here's some life rafts to help you get back. Taking refuge in, that reality, taking refuge in the fact that, the Buddha, AKA, you can fucking do it. You got this. I think that it can be hard, especially in my own personal experience, having come from some darker places, some difficulty, that it's been hard to always see that there could be, I don't know, even still, I'm like, the concept of there being a Buddha in me. And maybe if that imagery, if that word doesn't work for you, that's okay. It's not about that. It's simply that when we again, strip away all of the shit that has been put onto us, that we have put on ourselves. That, like in the meditation, when we sit in the third foundation of mindfulness, and we sit in the chair and we watch the mind just play, like it was a movie. That moment being the Buddha. And so, no need to go looking or to wait for 10 years to meet it. You did it, probably, maybe, hopefully. I hope you got to meet it in the meditation today. And the Sangha being such an important and pivotal piece to all of this. Like I said earlier, we don't thrive in isolation. There's many different stories in the suttas of different monastics, going off to the cave to meditate because it's about the quiet, it's about the meditation, it's about emptying the mind completely, right? And if I go off into a cave where there's nothing happening, then that's where the enlightenment happens, is what people think. The encouragement to Sangha is to keep us plugged. One of the reasons is to keep us plugged in to the world, because it's like this. If you know who Damien Eccles is, he talks about the empty hand technique when it comes to when he does magic. He's a magician. That's a sidebar. He talks about the empty hand technique, and this means that being dropped into any scenario that he could, perform magic, right? Without anything in his hand, no wands, no candles, no incense, no whatever. And the function of Sangha, it kind of works like that. Being dropped into whatever place, no matter what conflicts are happening with people, no matter what is happening, that we can still be free. Because, there's a part of me that's like, yeah, I can be free alone in my room where it's quiet and, nothing's happening. But can it withstand being in people? And if it can't, then it's very fragile. That's why, like our little guest sounds today, can we be free with sound? Or are we still stuck in good old fucking the mind hijacking? I'm sure that if you had the choice, you would want to be at ease in any condition, but can we do it? And the other function of Sangha is just being eyes and ears. I think it's, part of the function for, in some ways I feel fortunate and lucky that I was forced to, go to recovery groups because they said, have a community or die. And it's a little hard. I feel like it's a little bit harder to sell the importance of community to other people. That, like, what if it could be on that level? Like, have community or get lost in the stream of suffering. Because I don't know about you, I can walk out this door tonight and in like 15 minutes forget everything and just be like, a cookie sounds nice. I need people who are not just people who are practicing to remind me that this is important. Because the mind's natural tendency is to crave and hate. So having each other as mirrors is a huge necessary part. Another aspect of the song is just listening to the Dharma, reading the Dharma, reading the books, listening to talks. Again, because of our tendency to forget, the function here is that the more we immerse ourselves inside the community, right? An old NA term was like, get in the middle. Like, get in the middle of the boat. Because if you're on the edge of the boat, you're going to fall off and you're going to go floating down the stream of greed, hatred, and delusion in this case. But as long as we get in the middle, right, allowing people to surround us, it's going to be a lot harder to fall off the boat. Now, this doesn't, I think one of the things that we have to also be careful of is, like, this doesn't mean be around people all the time, every day, you know, idle chit chat, kind of like solitude, seclusion. We love this in Buddhism. Do that too. But be enough in the middle that you don't just fall off. So I'll end it there. I was going to read something, but never mind. I don't want to anymore. Any questions or thoughts or reflections? Okay, cool. Just as I was talking to Amelia about this beforehand, at the end of August, I want to try to plan something that's not just sitting around here hanging out. So if any of y'all are interested in getting together and doing something, that'd be cool. So if you're interested, let's talk. Let's do that. All right. And Donna, $5 to $10 suggested donation. If you have less, give less. If you have more, give more. Ultimately, Buddhism freely offered. We don't monetize this. So this is all just an act of generosity to keep these lights on, this air conditioning going. You can throw cash in the bowl or Venmo me. So with that, we'll end with the dedication of merit. May any goodness that came from our practice here today be spread above and below, to the seen and the unseen, to those being born and to those who are dying. Good ding.
Authoritative.
Yeah.